How are you doing, YouTube? This is Fat Prepper from PrepperLink.com. Today we're going to be discussing our small solar power solution with a budget of $150. The reason why we built this project was for two main purposes. One, we found that the small battery chargers really weren't sufficient enough to charge a lot of batteries. They didn't have enough power, and you're only charging when the sun was up. And secondly, we wanted to show the new user that's possibly getting into solar power how easy it is to put together a small system and on a budget. Alright, so let's begin now and talk about the different components that are going into the system. We chose a 50 cal ammo can as the enclosure for our system, but you can use any enclosure. We just thought it'd be cool to incorporate a 50 cal ammo can. And they're fairly water resistant to begin with, as long as you have a good seal on it. You'll need a battery, and for this system we went with 10 amp hour battery. It's a 12 volt battery. The enclosure has room for 2 of these batteries, so you can have a total of 20 amp hours, and we'll show that in a follow-on video. You'll need a charge controller. This is a solar charge controller. This is a 7 amp controller from SunForce. You'll need a solar panel. This is a 10 watt solar panel. You'll need 2 12 volt outlets. These are marine grade, meaning they already have a cover integrated into them. They're just made to go on a boat. You'll need either a single power post, you'll need 2 of these, or you'll need 1 dual power post. Recommend the dual power posts. I just have these laying around, so that's what we're going to use. Again, you're going to need 2 of those. You'll need a battery wiring harness. This is a positive inline fuse, and then we also made a negative cable. We have females on one end to go to the batteries, and we have circular terminals on the other end to go to the power post. And you'll need another wiring harness, again with the same female ends on one end. Come on, catch up. Alright, and circular ends on the other. So let's get started with this. We've already pre-drilled the holes. That's probably the hardest part for this project. You just want to make sure that you get something to cut the hole to the same size as this. This needs to fit in there snugly, but you don't want it to damage the threads when you're putting it in. Alright, so we're going to start with the 12 volt power outlet. Just go quick overview over this. You'll have 2 plugs on this particular outlet. The most center plug, or the plug in the center, will be the positive outlet, and the one on the outside is the negative one. Alright, so that's good. You need to know that before you start putting this in here and running your cables. So to run this, we're just going to take this 12 volt outlet, we're going to put it into the can. Just an overview of why we chose these holes is when we get the other components in here, you'll see why we put them this place. But we have the solar input, and this is where you're going to plug your solar panel at the bottom rear of the can, and we have the power in output right here on the back upper part of the can, and they're both on the same side. So we're going to take our 12 volt outlet and we're going to put it into the hole. Alright, and then we're going to take the nut that comes with it and put it on the back here, and we're going to lock this in place. It's a good idea once you figure out how you want to mount this and you get the components in place that you actually silicone this. Again, this 50 cal ammo can is mostly waterproof. It's highly water resistant, and if you mount these correctly, you're just going to keep that water resistant. Okay, so this is in here snugly for now. The next part is we're going to mount this charge controller. Again, this is a 7 amp charge controller. It's sufficient enough for about 100 watts of solar power. I wouldn't push it that high. For this system we're going to use one 10 watt panel, but you can add up to 4 of them, and we'll show you how to do that in another video. The good thing to know about this particular charge controller is you have two sets of positive and negative wires. This set with a little battery next to it, that goes to the battery. So we're going to mount these to our power post. And this set on this side goes to the solar panel, and we're going to mount that again to this rear 12-volt plug, and that's where our solar panels are going to set in. We have Velcro attached to the charge controller and also in the ammo can. And actually we are mounting all of our components with Velcro, and we believe it's strong enough to withstand any kind of movements or fall. So I'm going to take my charge controller, I'm going to put it in the back corner here, match up the Velcro, just lock it in place. It doesn't take much. Now I'm going to take the two female ends here and I'm going to put them on the rear 12-volt outlet, and I'll show you once it's wired. Alright, it's the bottom one. Again, positive goes to the center plug, negative goes to the outside plug. So now that's in place. Alright, the next step would be to mount your power post. And again, we're using two single power posts. And we're going to mount these for this system, this setup, we're going to mount them right next to the charge controller. Alright, so I'm going to take one power post, just mount it to the top set of Velcro, just wedge it in place there. Take the other power post, set it to the bottom set of Velcro. For this system, this wiring, I'm going to put positive to the top, negative to the bottom. So, positive to the top, negative to the bottom power post. We're just going to let this sit right there for now. Next thing that we're going to do is hook up the 12-volt outlet. Again, we have a wiring harness with circular terminals on one end, female terminals on the other. Again, red, the positive line is going to go to the center terminal. The negative is going to go to the outside terminal. And then we're going to repeat the process for the circular ends. Positive to the top, negative to the bottom. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to mount our 12-volt battery. This is a 10 amp hour 12-volt battery. It weighs about 5 pounds, so there is some weight to it. We're using industrial strength Velcro for this. The battery is going to sit in the enclosure as such, where the terminals are facing the front of the enclosure, the ammo can. So we're mounting Velcro on the enclosure side, on the front, and also the bottom of the battery. So you have 3 contact points here. It's a little tricky to get it into place, so I'm going to do this real quick, hopefully. The key here is to get it locked down without upsetting the Velcro too much, because it will stick and it's a pain in the butt to get everything off. Alright, I think I have it in a good position, so I'm just going to work it into the Velcro for a few seconds. And the grunting is me fighting the Velcro. Okay, so it's in place now. I'm going to shake it a little bit. Okay, it's not going anywhere. Alright, so the next step is I'm going to fix these cables that came off during the shaking process. So this is what our enclosure is looking at right now. We have the battery mounted in there. You have the 2 power posts and the charge controller, and the 2 outlets in the rear. The next step for this system is mounting the wiring harness. Again, this is just a positive inline fuse, and we have made a negative line. Negative ends go to the battery. And that's just the type of terminals that these batteries have, and the circular terminals are going to the power post again. Alright, positive goes to the top, negative goes to the bottom. At this time, we're going to put the nuts on the power post to lock these cables in before we hook up the battery. Because once we do that, it's a live battery and the system should be pushing out power. So just putting the positive on right now. Next, the negative. Alright, so both of those are locked into place now. Not sure you're going to be able to see, but you can see the nut down there onto the power post. Alright, so the last step we're going to do for this before we test out the system is go ahead and hook the positive and negative leads to the battery. Going ahead and do positive first, followed by negative. So this system, at least the interior components are completed. Alright, and that's what it looks like. Again, it's not really going anywhere. So right now I'm just going to close the ammo can up and we're going to test out the 12 volt device. Alright, so again on the side we have the 12 volts power output. Again on the rear we have the solar power input. Just fabricated a male cigarette lighter to 2-pole connector, and we're going to repeat this process, so stay tuned for the second video. We're going to plug this into the power output, and we're going to plug in a light that also has a 2-pole connector. Just going to plug these together. We're going to test the light, and you can see it works. Alright, so our system is wired correctly. For charging, the cool thing about this system right here is I can simply disconnect the cigarette lighter to 2-pole connector from the device. I can then take the same cable, set up, plug it into my solar power input. And if your solar panels also have 2-pole connectors on here, hear some thunder in the background, I might get to test this system out later tonight. You can plug it into the same wire. As we get into the second video, we'll explain why this is important. Alright, so in theory, which I know it is, this small solar panel right here is now charging my 10 amp hour battery. So that's our $150 budget solar panel, small solution that you can build on your own. Again, the purpose for this video is to show you a quick introduction to solar power, but it's actually very practical to charge devices, to charge batteries or run small LED lights or even a fan. So thanks for joining us, and please let us know what you think.